Hey guys, it's Tracy and I have Bella with me, and today we are going to make homemade marshmallows. We have never made this before. I found a recipe online, so we're going to give that a try and we'll see how it turns out. So the first part that we're supposed to do is make a sugar mixture. So it wanted 14.5 ounces of sugar and quarter of a cup of corn syrup. So we'll put that in our pan. Try to make sure to get all of it out of there. Very sticky. Okay, and then, all right, half a cup of water. So can you fill that with half a cup of water, please? So we're gonna heat this mixture on the stove. Thank you very much. Until it reaches sperm ball stage, according to the instructions. Okay, medium-high heat. So let's get this going. And it wants us to let the water spread and moisten the sugar.
Marshmallows are very sugary.
There's a lot of sugar in here. Okay, so that's going to heat for a little bit until it comes to a boil, and then we're going to cover it. So we're going to keep our eye on that, but while that is working, we're going to do the next part to bloom our gelatin.
What does it mean to bloom gelatin?
So when you bloom something, it means to make it like puff up and come alive.
Oh.
At least that's my interpretation of it. Okay, so we have 3 packets of unflavored gelatin that we're putting in there.
Type in the final one. The honor is mine.
Okay, so we put half a cup of water with the gelatin, and then we let it sit while the sugar is cooking. So it just sits for a bit. Okay. So we'll get that on the mixer. And it sounds like our sugar is coming to a boil. So once the sugar comes to a boil, we want to cover the saucepan with a lid and lower the heat to medium and let it cook for 2 minutes. Hold on. It wants me to gently swirl. lowering the heat, putting the lid on, and we're gonna set our timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so it's been 2 minutes, so we're going to check on our sugar mixture here. Okay, now I have a candy thermometer, so I'm going to put this on until it reaches firm ball stage, which I have a line on here, but otherwise it says about 245 degrees. So we're going to clip that to the side of our pan and make sure it's not touching the bottom. Otherwise our temperature reading is going to be off. And we just let it cook until it gets to the correct temperature. So we're going to let that cook. Our gelatin is waiting, and we're going to wait till it gets to the right temperature. Okay, so our sugar mixture is
Complete.
at the right stage, and we're turning this off. And we're supposed to let it sit until the bubbles subside. Setting this to the side so we don't get burnt by scorching hot sugar, which would hurt. Okay, so let's see. With the bubbles are subsiding. So we're going to turn our mixer on. And while it's mixing on medium-low speed, we're gonna pour the sugar syrup in slowly. So, oh, but I'm a little scared.
We don't want it splattering everywhere.
Okay. Let's see how I'm gonna go from this side. Okay, not too bad, not too scary.
Nothing's flying across the room.
Okay. So we got our sugar syrup in there. It's mixing on low. It says to add a pinch of salt. That's a pinch. And then increase it to medium high. So let's get, okay. I'm just really nervous about hot sugar flying out of the bowl. Okay, we're mixing. Okay, so we're supposed to mix on medium-high for 3 to 5 minutes. So we'll set our timer for about 4 minutes.
Because it's in the middle.
And we'll see how that works out. Maybe kick it up one more so it's medium-high. Okay. And we'll let that mix on medium-high for the 4 minutes. Until we get to the next step and see how that goes. Okay, so it's been 4 minutes. Our mixture is actually starting to look fluffy and white and marshmallowy and smooth. So we're supposed to kick it up to high speed for another 3 to 5 minutes. And it's supposed to triple in volume up to 3 times. So we're going to let that go. We'll set it for 5 minutes this time. And then in the last minute, we're going to add our vanilla. And while that's mixing, we're going to prepare our 8x8 pan with some butter so that the marshmallows don't stick into the pan. And we're also going to butter our spatula that we're going to use to get the mixture out so the marshmallow doesn't stick. So we're going to work on preparing our pan and our utensils. Okay, so we are at a minute, so we're going to add in the vanilla.
How much vanilla?
So it's that was weird. Okay, so it's 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, which apparently it freaks out when you add the vanilla. So don't be frightened by that. I was frightened by that. That was scary. I didn't know what it was doing. Okay, so it's finishing up its final mixing, and then we're going to get it in the pan.
Which has butter on it.
We buttered the pan. We buttered our trusty Mickey spatula. And we'll see how this goes. Okay, let's turn this off. Stop the timer. All right, let's see. Okay, so it looks fluffy and marshmallowy. And hopefully it all comes out of the little mixer part too. Okay. I'm just gonna do this straight into the pan. It's very, very sticky, like marshmallows are, so. I don't know how we're gonna get all that out of there, but I'm determined to try. No marshmallow left behind.
That's true.
Okay. There we go. I think we got most of it. Okay, I'm just gonna set this in the sink real quick. And then we're going to get the rest, thank you very much, into our prepared pan. It is definitely very sticky like marshmallows are. Kind of reminds me of the melted marshmallows when you're making Rice Krispie treats.
Oh yeah. And this is warm, and the Rice Krispie treat marshmallows are also warm.
Oh, this bowl's really heavy. Oh, this made a lot. Okay.
Yes.
Trying to get as much as possible out of the bowl. Okay, can you hold that for a second? Okay. Let's see. I always try to get every last bit out of the bowl. I hate when you're watching cooking shows and they leave so much left behind.
Oh yeah.
That bothers me. So I try to get as much as possible out of there. Everything else is stuck to the side in that, so that's just gonna have to do. Okay, it's already having a mind of its own while I'm trying to spread it evenly. So that might just have to do. Let's see if I can get that off the spatula. These are gonna be fun to wash later on. Okay, and then we're supposed to sieve some powdered sugar on top. Okay, and then we're gonna have to wait for 6 hours to let it set. And then we're going to take it out and cut them into pieces. So I guess we will see you in 6 hours to see what the final product looks like. So we are back and it has been 6 hours. So it's been a very long wait. It's nighttime now. And so what we're going to do is we're going to powder sugar our surface so that we can take these out of the pan. Okay. Let's see here. Kind of nervous that they're gonna get stuck in the pan. I hope not. Oh no. They came away really nicely. Okay. Dump it. Or maybe. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay.
Giant marshmallows.
Maybe I'll do, since this part didn't have any on there. Okay, now that I'm covered in powder sugar. So now we're just gonna cut them up into cubes. You can do, they recommend 1 inch by 1 inch. I'm not gonna measure them out, I'm just gonna eyeball it. So we're just going to cut, and I buttered the knife so that it doesn't get stuck. So.
Now we got it in our strips.
Okay, now we're gonna cut them into the little cubies. I'm just dipping the exposed edges into the sugar to cut down on the stickiness of it. Okay. And I've coughed. Don't cough all over your marshmallows. All right, so Bella, can you dip our cubes in the bowl? I have a mixture, 2-to-1 ratio of powdered sugar to cornstarch. So you dip each one so that they don't stick to each other once you store them.
And then
So
dipping.
just dip it in there and then just set them on the counter, that's fine. They aren't the prettiest marshmallows, but as long as they taste good, which hopefully they taste good since we went through all this work.
Yeah.
That's fine. So let's see. So Bella was actually the one who wanted to make homemade marshmallows. So what inspired you to want to make homemade marshmallows? We've never made homemade marshmallows before.
Well, I love marshmallows, and with hot chocolate in the winter, and since it's the winter, it's nice and cold, and so a lot of people would be wanting to have hot chocolate. So I thought, what is an amazing thing to put in hot chocolate? And I thought, marshmallows. How do they make marshmallows? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's make them ourselves.
And so here we are.
Making them ourselves.
Making them ourselves. Very sticky and covered in powdered sugar. So one of the things that I also will say is I thought that like the mixing bowl from our stand mixer and the utensils and everything that we use, I thought they would be really hard to clean, but I just soaked them in hot water for a couple minutes before I cleaned them, and actually the marshmallow came off very easily. So that was good.
Yeah.
I was afraid of that being stuck to all of the tools and bowls and things that we use. So that was good. While I'm cutting, I also just want to note, so I actually started this YouTube channel in 2016. It was Chef Mommy's Kitchen, and I had the intent of just cooking and baking things. And life gets away from you, and I did not do that. So, we decided to start back up again, but focus kind of more on our family in general. Obviously, we're still gonna be making things because that's what we like to do. Especially Bella is an aspiring future baker. But just more of our life and our crazy family in general. Our family is wild and we have fun, but it's a little crazy over here. So that's why I came up with the name Johnson Hot Mess Express, because that's what I usually call our family, the Johnson Hot Mess Express. So that's where the new YouTube name came from, and it's just going to be focusing a lot more on just the family and not just cooking and baking. So that's also why we had a name change for the YouTube channel.
Dipping.
Okay, so we only have a few more to be dipped. These should be stored in an airtight container, but we are going to set them out for now, and I think we're going to do a taste test to see, and Bella's our resident marshmallow expert, so she's going to do the taste test to see if the store-bought marshmallows taste better than our homemade ones. So, okay. It's definitely a lot messier than the store-bought ones, that's for sure.
But it's a lot more delicious.
Is it good? Okay, so that's good. So let me do, when I close up, don't mind my dirty fingers, but this is the marshmallow, up close and personal.
And the wait was worth it.
It was a long wait. It wasn't that hard, surprisingly. I think the hardest part is maybe doing the sugar, cooking the sugar down on the stove, because it's very easy to not get it to the right stage, and that would probably mess up the entire recipe. So that's probably the hardest part, I think. It's a little bit of a messy recipe, but not too bad. So I think we're going to prep some hot chocolate and do a melt test, because we made it. It was, I would say, medium hard, right? Medium, not too hard, not too easy of a recipe. They taste good, so they pass the taste test, but
The melt test?
we got to do the melt test. So we're gonna get some hot cocoa, clean this up, we're gonna get some hot cocoa and see how these melt. Okay, so we cleaned up the powdered sugar explosion from the countertop, and we made the hot cocoa that we have. And so now the ultimate test, meltability. Don't know if that's a word, but I made it up. I'm using it. All right, so stick it on top. Let's see if it starts to melt down the way marshmallows do.
It's doing nothing. Probably because the powdered sugar, it's like a barrier.
And they're very big. Maybe
It's a giant.
dunk it in there a little bit. So it looks like it's getting softer in there. So probably cut it up into smaller pieces maybe. It just might take a little bit longer to melt down, which actually I wouldn't mind, because when I drink hot cocoa, I hate how fast the marshmallows melt. Yeah, it's starting to melt a little bit. You can see the white starting to goo out from it. So
Melt test complete.
melt test complete. A slower melt, probably because it's a huge chunk, so maybe we should have cut it down a little bit. But it's fun to kind of stick a huge chunk into the cup. Here, let's get a closer look of the marshmallow. You can see it kind of melting a little bit in there. So there you go. Bella will enjoy her hot cocoa with her semi-melted marshmallow that will melt down over time. But so meltability test, it's okay for hot cocoa. I'm sure if we did it like over a fire for s'mores or something like that, it would probably melt better. So maybe we should do that next time. Ooh, s'mores sound really good. Okay, so we'll do that for next time. But yes, so that is us making homemade marshmallows. Oh, one thing to note, you can add colors and flavors to the batter as well, but we just chose to do regular vanilla because
It's our first time.
it was our first time. So we just wanted to do something basic. We didn't want to go too crazy.
We didn't want to test it.
Go over the top with trying to make these marshmallows. So overall, it wasn't too hard, very messy, but flavor is good, decent meltability, and cleanup's not too bad. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.